average team on a scale of 0 to 5 relative to candor, and that's the question, do we challenge each other when it's risky, is a 2.4. When they start doing stress testing, they start using breakout rooms, and they start using the safe word effectively, all of the teams got into the high 3s, and most of them got into the mid 4s, because they have a social contract that says, if we talk behind each other's backs, if we talk after the meeting, if we don't share each openly, then we're being cowards, not courageous. We're ruining shareholder value. So we agree we're going to do this, and here are the practices: stress testing, Yoda in the room, and breakout rooms. Those 3 simple practices move you into the high 3s and into the 4s. So every chapter is organized around that. What we're going to do at the end, we had a website created just for today, and it's teamshipbook.com. And we're in the process of creating a video series around the book that we're going to sell when the book comes out. But everybody who signs up here will get that for free. So if you just go on and give us that information, you get the video series. What we do ask is when the book comes out that you buy it. Yes, sir. Well, how do you do it with the younger generations? You know what I found is that every generation has its challenges and every generation has its strengths. And none of them are effective in doing high-performing teams across the board. So I can't necessarily look at the younger generation and say, this generation isn't as effective as the older generation. The reality is, this younger generation, they know how to collaborate using technology. They do it all the time. There was one of the chief operating officer of Delta Airlines that I interviewed went over to one of the unicorn companies that I was coaching. And the guy opened up and said, I want to have a meeting about X, Y, and Z. And the team looked at him and said, it's a bunch of young folks, looked at him and said, how do we have a meeting on that? We haven't collaborated yet. So the young people, they know how to use technology. They know how to use tools. They're not afraid of collaborating in the ether before you throw a bunch of people to waste time in a room in a meeting. So in some regard, we've got learnings to have all over the place. And the key is sticking with those 10 shifts. Let me give you a few others. So one of the ones I just talked about, by the way, is a shift that I call meeting shifting. We've got to stop thinking that meetings are the best form of collaboration. It's actually the last form of collaboration. It's what you do when you're wrestling to the very end. There's a question down here. If we can move the mic over, please. The question that you need to be thinking about is, how do we collaborate inclusively and boldly? How do we get dozens of people's insights and opinions? We were doing this, I'll come right to you. We were doing this at a large automotive company. We were falling behind in our retooling of the automotive company for electronic vehicles. And they were bickering with each other in meetings about what was the problem. And I said, let's stop having meetings. Let's all get into a Google sheet. And I want all of you to write in the first column, what do you think the real problem is here? In the next column, what do you think a bold solution to solve that problem is? And when we looked, we realized people hadn't even been listening to each other. They've been sitting in rooms pointing fingers, sitting in rooms waiting for other people to finish talking and in order to talk. And what we found was a beautiful answer in the Google sheet that never came out in the meetings.